They've committed some of the worst crimes imaginable, but convicted killers could be living in your neighbourhood and you'd never know it.
They're convicted killers and they're walking among us.
The question is, are they rehabilitated? Is there a chance they could do it again?
Because he was just 16 when he stabbed Tanya 48 times.
Who do you know who's living next door to you?
The Australian public knows them only by their initials.
You have a fuse just waiting to go off.
It was just horrific, like having the insides of you ripped out of you for all of us.
Mandy Burgess's daughter, 15-year-old Tanya, was murdered in 2005.
She was more like a friend than a daughter to me. We had a really good relationship together.
It was a frenzied attack. The teen stabbed 48 times getting off the school bus.
Even more difficult to comprehend, the girl's alleged killer is just 16 years old.
The 16-year-old boy was charged and convicted.
I was in shock. He was a schoolboy.
But his identity could not be revealed because he was a juvenile. He was known only as DL.
I knew nothing about the law, the way justice works ever, so I just thought he would never get out.
DL is now 33 years old and was released from jail last year.
How can they rehabilitate when you plead not guilty and for the last 18 years he's still saying he didn't do it?
Laws still prevent us from naming DL.
Do you think that's fair?
For the whole general community, it's all about safety. Safety now is out.
Mandy Burgess is scared he might one day try to track her down.
I sometimes lie in bed awake thinking about what if.
It has changed your life in so many ways, hasn't it?
It's always in our face, but we have to live.
How do you protect a community if the community doesn't know who they have to be protected from? And I think if people knew...
Victims advocate Howard Brown applied for DL to be put on an interim supervision order. But 2 months ago, DL found himself back before the courts for allegedly breaching parole. Police claiming he set up a Facebook profile without informing authorities. He pleaded not guilty to that charge. That case is ongoing, and earlier this month, DL's supervision ended. He's now completely free and unsupervised.
He's out in the community and no one knows who he is.
Now, a current affair can reveal another child killer who also can't be named is back on the streets.
If you don't know who the offender is, how do you know how to stay safe?
3-year-old Courtney Morley Clark was snatched from her bed and stabbed to death in 2001. A 13-year-old boy was arrested, charged and convicted.
No one knows that as a 13-year-old, he was able to take the life of a 3-year-old girl. I mean, this was an horrific murder.
Known only as SLD, he was the youngest person in Australia ever to be convicted of murder. He's now 36. SLD was released from prison 3 months ago. He was being housed here at this halfway house adjoining Sydney's Long Bay Jail. A diagnosed psychopath, the Supreme Court said SLD was at high risk of reoffending. He was on a strict supervision order. In earlier hearings, the Supreme Court was told he had fantasised about killing again and had threatened to rape female corrections officers. A Current Affair has learned he was recently back before the courts. He fronted Sydney's Waverley Court in July facing 2 counts of breaching his extended supervision order. Court documents revealed SLD used a razor blade to inflict self-harm because he felt the conditions of his release were too onerous. He had to always be in the line of sight of a community corrections officer.
It is the belief of police that given the accused has this view of his conditions, that his lack of compliance will increase, and this will put the community at risk.
SLD was taken to Prince of Wales Hospital to be treated for his injuries, where it's alleged he said,
"I'm doing this to make a point because I can't go out on my own. I know that if I self-harm, I know I'll get kicked out, and you guys will struggle to find me somewhere to live."
The halfway house management told Waverley Court they did not want him living there because
his behaviour and his threats to continue the same behaviour puts the staff at risk of physical and psychological harm.
The moment they turn 21, they should be named, because that is part of the rehabilitation process. They take full responsibility for what they have done.
It's not going to succeed.
But Howard Brown says lawmakers in Australia have ignored the problem.
Successive governments have sat on their backsides knowing that this was going to happen and did nothing about it. There's just no determination by government to fix the problem.
Courtney and Tanya's parents maintain change is long overdue.
We want the community protected.
If you hide behind a veil of anonymity, you never have to take responsibility. You're never going to be rehabilitated. And if you're not rehabilitated, you're a danger to the community.
Their names should be out there and their pictures should be out there, regardless of what age they did this crime.
Chilling, isn't it? And crime editor Simon Boda joins me now. Simon, there's been a remarkable development in one of these cases.
Yeah, Rally, there has. I can reveal that Courtney's killer, SLD, is tonight back behind bars. The 36-year-old was arrested on Tuesday after allegedly approaching 3 women and their children at Bulli Beach near Wollongong. Now, it's claimed he told one of these women, "I just got out of jail, do you come here often?" One of his 66 conditions of release was that he must not approach anyone under the age of 18. So SLD fronted court and has now been remanded in custody. So he's safely locked away for now, and the case is going to be back in court in December.
A lot of people hoping he probably stays there. And look, we just saw with Bruce Lerman, accused of sex offences in Queensland, finally named because of that change in the law. Is there any movement? Could something similar happen with this?
Look, Ali, I think as the law stands now, we are and will continue to be unable to name these people. And as was pointed out in that story, those people could be living next door to us, travelling on our buses, travelling on our trains. We could be sitting next to them and we have absolutely no idea. It's really, really scary.
And crazy that their protection is put above the community's. Thanks for that, Simon.
No problem.